When I came to Miami University in 2001, I think there might have been about a dozen students. And today we have 47. And so we think we'll probably break that 50 mark here in the next couple of years. But it has been the growth of the students here at Miami that has largely driven the Myaamia Center, whether you realize it or not, because I've never really sat down and figured it out, but I actually think that half or more than half of the staff in the Myaamia Center, of which there's now 20, are actually coming out of our heritage program. So there's a saying in our field, you have to grow your own. And this is exactly what's happening. So this is always a pleasure to end the conference with this panel. Anyway.
Myaamiaki te pewe ne alaka koke wa hanungi ka kikwe, mahkoonsihkwa wains wa ane, nila Myaamiaki, me ke mo ane Myaamia ne poiona kaninge. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to be here with you all today. My name is Kara Strass, and I serve as the director of the Miami Tribe Relations Office at the Myaamia Center. But I also get the privilege of working with our Myaamia students who attend Miami University. And so I get to see them on a weekly basis for the most part. I get to see their growth over 4 years and the impact that this program has on them. And we want to, the best that we can in the time that we have, share that with you all. Because I think the students who are graduating from our program, as you've heard, are future leaders in our community. And I think it's important for you all to hear from them what they're doing and what this program has done for them. So we're going to be asking them to share their stories a little bit, but we don't feel like it's fair to ask them to do that without doing it ourselves. And you heard a little bit from Nishima, my little sibling, about her story earlier today. But Haley and I grew up in Huntington, Indiana, within the homelands of the Myaamia people. And we certainly knew that we were Miami. Myaamia was not even a word that any of us would have recognized at that point. But there were a lot of things that were missing from that understanding of what that meant. And if you were here earlier, you heard that Haley attended camps in 2005, the very first year that camps were started in Oklahoma. Awen Zapata goes from ages 10 to 16, and in 2005, I was 17 years old. And so I didn't go to camp that first year. I didn't make those same connections. But we often talk about specific experiences that help students to kind of reconnect. And one of those for me was I attended the University of Notre Dame as an undergraduate student. And that allowed me to connect with many other Native students from other tribal nations. And that was my kind of first intertribal experience, and I saw that there were a really wide variety of experiences and challenges that Native students were experiencing in college. And even though my degree was in biology, I always had this idea that maybe working with Native college students is something that I would want to do. And so after working for a few years, I decided, hey, maybe I'll go back to school and pursue that path. And I came to the folks at the Myaamia Center to chat with them about what that could look like. Maybe you're experiencing a little bit of a theme with some of us here. But what they suggested was that I come here to Miami University to get my graduate degree. I had an assistantship in the Myaamia Center, started full-time once I graduated. I guess, as they say, the rest is history.
Myaamiaki kiišikohkwa winswa ane. Hi everyone, my name is Haley. I'm assuming most of you were here earlier and heard my story then. But if you didn't, you can piece together from what Nemisa said, from what my older sister said, and also just know I went to camp I came to Miami University, got a PhD in psychology, came back to work for the center. So that's the abbreviated, right? And you might be wondering though, like, if Kara is the one who advises the students, what am I doing up here? So in my role as the director of the Office of Assessment and Evaluation, I also have the honor and the privilege of collecting research data with the students on campus. And so I have the honor of interviewing every single student before they enter the program about their identity, about what it means to be Myaamia, what their historical experiences have been. And then again, at the end of the program, we interview them. Same questions, we add a few just based on, their experiences that they didn't have coming into the program. But we ask them the exact same questions and we see how they change. Right? And so we can see these shifts from pre-test to post-test, as well as shifts historically across time as there are various things like COVID that happen and what impact does that have on us. So we can do the types of analyses on those data to see how our students are impacted by this program. And so the questions we're going to ask today are not exactly the questions we ask in those interviews, but they do parallel them quite a bit. So we'll go ahead and start with the first one. And I do want all of our students to answer these first two questions, but I want you all to introduce yourself. So feel free to share whatever you're comfortable with, but specifically your name, hometown, major, minors, year at Miami.
Myaamiaki, Myaamiaki, Santa Rosa, California, Myaamiaki. I'm a graduating senior at Miami this year, and I'm studying biomedical engineering. I don't have a minor. The major itself was quite enough, so.
Myaamiaki, Michael Nehe Mashingwamija Wenzwiane, Zion Illinois Eminutiane. I'm Michael. I'm a third year biochemistry pre-med geography major.
Hello. Okay. Aya Mia Wenzwiane, Noblesville, Indiana, Eminutiane. Hi everyone, my name is Mia. I am a sophomore from Noblesville, Indiana, and here at Miami, I'm currently studying computer science, and I'm a double major in entrepreneurship.
Myaamiaki, Wenzwane Sekakweta, Nehe Gabriel Tipman, Kikayonge, Eminutiane. I'm a supply chain and operations management senior here at Miami. And my name is Gabe Tipman, also Sekakweta, and I'm from Fort Wayne.
Myaamiaki, Madison Wenzwiane, Canfield, Ohio, Eminutiane. I am a sophomore here at Miami University, and I am a nursing major.
That might be the first time they all did all Myaamia and all said Eminutiane for every single one, so Mayawa Tepe.
Again, for the second question, we're going to ask you all to answer it. But can you tell us a little bit about what factors contributed to your decision to attend Miami University and be a part of the Myaamia Heritage Program?
I can start. I didn't have much going for me in high school. I remember that. My parents really wanted me to go to college, but I wanted to be a guitar player. They kind of gently let me know that was not going to happen. So I had heard about the Heritage Program from my aunt who had attended it earlier, and I had known that my family was Myaamia, but we were from California, so we had no notion of what that meant, and I really wanted to learn as much as I could, so I applied and I got it, and I was like, okay, I'll just do this, this sounds good. And yeah, so it wasn't it was just kind of the only option I really had, I felt for me to go to college.
Yeah, I think for me, it was also probably my only option. I mean, the scholarships here are good, and with the Heritage Program, that award really helps. And I'm also heavily influenced by my older sister, who's selling art over there. So she enjoyed it enough that I decided to come here too.
Yeah, definitely similar answers to both of them. I actually wanted to go to school in Indiana, but then I applied to Miami for marketing, even though that's not my major now, or that's not what I started in. But I knew they had a really good business and engineering college, and then I heard about the Heritage program, and that was something that was very interesting to me, and I'm forever grateful that I get to learn every day.
So I had the very fortunate experience of having several older siblings and older relatives attend Miami well before I was anywhere near college age. There's actually a first grade assignment that I had, and it's somewhere in my baby book, I'm sure. But it said, "I am going to Miami University." So it's because I got to be at the A1 Zapata camps and just around people where so much education and innovation was taking place at Miami University for our community that it was absolutely the only choice, both because I didn't want to go anywhere else and the program is just so great.
Same with Gabe here. I had an older sister who attended Miami University for college and also 3 older cousins who came here. So I actually came here for the first time when I was 13. So I've been coming here for quite a while, and the campus is beautiful, and I just thought this opportunity to work with the Heritage program and just have this learning experience was one that I could not pass up, especially since my older sister came home and taught us basically everything that she learned here, and it just seemed too good of an opportunity. Also, the nursing program here is a direct admit. So what that means is instead of going through freshman year classes and then applying to be in a nursing program, here at Miami, I'm already in the nursing program coming in, so I get more clinical experience longer than other colleges, so that's why I came here.
Yeah, Newe. I'm just going to point out some themes that you might start to notice, which is that this experience is one of family and community. So I think 4 out of the 5 of you mentioned a family member having already previously come through the program, and that is true of most of our students at this point, and it's something that we reinforce throughout the entire program. So when the students come in from the very first day, when we ask them to introduce themselves, the way that we do that is by having them say, "Aya Ewe Milani," hello, my relatives. That's the way we start every single class. And I think that has a really big impact on our students and how they connect to each other, because from day one, we're reinforcing this idea of kinship among the students and our staff at the Myaamia Center.
So the students that come into this program often have a wide variety of experiences and connections with the Myaamia community, with some having none prior to coming, and others having been extensively involved in community programming since birth. And so I'm curious I don't remember which of you we assigned to these questions, but in what ways did you all interact with the Myaamia community and or your Myaamia identity prior to attending Miami University? And then also, how has that shifted since?
So I'm one of the people who didn't have any experience coming into it. I grew up north of Chicago, and that's kind of separated from the Indiana, Ohio, and the Oklahoma areas. So I didn't really get much experience with anything tribe related until Megan came here, and then she would bring home bits whenever she would come back from school. And then once I came here, it just kind of grew from there. So some of the things like going down to Oklahoma for winter gathering was a really big thing. Just spending all that time with Myaamiaki, and going into things like stomp dance and doing a lot of those social dances really was cool for me to experience for the first time.
Well, like I said earlier, I have an older sister who came here, so she was kind of like the tether that tied me to the tribe when I was young. I got to go to 2 of the A1 Zapata camps when I was 13 and 15. So I got to experience some forms of tribal culture and what I got to play, like Makasina and Pitahamayinge. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But And so I got to do those things, and I got to participate in the games and the culture. And I remember the one I went to, it was living off the land. So Daryl took us on a nature walk, and he showed us all of these things that we used and still can use today for health benefits or whatnot. And so I kind of got to experience that part when I was young, but I didn't fully understand really what I was a part of. I was just like, oh, this is fun. This is cool to be a part of. I didn't really know like I do now. Kind of like the weight of being in the tribe.
So I'm interested to hear a little bit about before you arrived here at Miami, what you expected to learn and how your experience is similar or different from what you initially expected.
I'm not really sure what I expected to learn. I knew that I'd seen people enter the program having very little experience with the language and with the culture going in, and then coming out, it was like they were on fire with it. They were speaking the language, they were coming to family gatherings and like, oh, aya, cheke, you know, like really pumped up about it. So I didn't know exactly what it was they were learning, but I was so in. I really wanted to just learn as much as I could. And I think as much as I enjoyed our in-class learning, I think more of the knowledge that really stuck with me was the stuff that we got to share in community outside of class. It was the dinners that we'd have after class, or before class, you know, whatever it was, and playing some lacrosse and pikataha menge, or even the some of the slang terms that we'd come up with in Myaamiaki, like just fun things like that, where it was more about the community learning and less about just looking at a slide and trying to memorize a word. It was more about the people that went with what we were learning.
I expected to learn the language and culture, but I didn't realize how hands-on it would be. I came to class the first day. It was Chinguya was teaching our language class last year, and I was ready to take notes. I thought we were going to have like quizzes and tests like structured like any other class would. But it was actually very interactive. We got to learn together through the language, and even this year when we're learning about the history and culture and art, and we get to really do more interactive things with other members of our tribe, learning together. So like last year we got to make our own story and share it with the class in Myaamiaki. And this year we get to design a t-shirt based off of what we believe what it means to be Myaamia through our perspective. And it's kind of tying everything in that we have learned here, and I just didn't expect it to be that inclusive and that hands-on.
Anyway, so that's a common story. A lot of times folks will say, I kind of expected it to be like just the same thing as A1 Zapata and Sakachoeta, and that is not it at all, right? There is the thing that tends to stand out to most students is what Gabe was talking about, that community, right? The connections is what makes our students successful. So, yeah, what has been your experience with the courses themselves, but then also the advising and staff support that you receive through the Myaamia Center?
I mean, first off, just really like the classes. They're usually fun, and the content, I want to learn about it. I think coming in freshman year, we did ecological perspectives, and we were all assigned a tree around campus to kind of watch throughout the year. And the one I was assigned was the bur oak, Mishingwa Misha, which ended up being my Myaamia name. So having that connection is really cool. And I think the language unit with Chinguya, that was all really fun, and all the immersion we did with that. And even this year, learning about sovereignty and some of the other stuff, kind of taking a more holistic look at the tribe and everything has been really interesting. And then as for advising, having access to an advisor outside of like a normal academic advisor, just somebody you can go to and kind of talk about whatever, has been a very privileged thing to have here. And I mean, for me, I went in one day to Kara and asked about getting a job on campus, and now I'm an employee at the Tribe Center. So, so it makes everything very easy, and it's definitely a very privileged position to be in as a Myaamia student.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to say is anybody out there who knows young Myaamiaki, bring them to as many events as you can, because a lot of the staff at the Myaamia Center I got to grow up around. You know, most of them knew me when I was like 5 years old, and so like Daryl is Noosa. You know, he's not just an authority figure. He's my dad. You know. And I grew up going to camp and seeing a lot of the folks who work in the center now. And that's really reinforced that family connection, because we are all related. We are all family. So I think that's been a big thing with the staff there. I'd also like to give a shout out to Bobby Burke. So she was all on right there. Yes, ihya. Hiya, Bobby. Missionewe. There's a lot of students who've graduated from Miami University from the Heritage Program who owe a lot of their success, even just getting through school, to Bobby. She's really supported a lot of our students, and it's that kind of love and support that I think everybody else at the center has tried to replicate through that support for the students. And I think we see that through the student room that we have set up with, there's snacks, and it's a Myaamia environment to be in. It's really cool. So it's just very, very built up to support Myaamia individuals, not just any students, because it's important to recognize the differences there and the different needs that we as Myaamia individuals have.
I will also say, besides them, like, technically being your professors, they're always just a community of people you can go to. I will say last year I definitely cried in George's office about calculus because I was not doing well. But they're always there to like support you and help you, even if it has nothing to do with the classes that we're learning through the center. They're like just the most caring like people that you can go to. Definitely, even though they are advisors and professors, they're always there to just like look out for you and make sure that you're doing as well as you can.
I too cried in a few offices, so don't feel bad about that.
So as I mentioned at the beginning, many students tell us that they have some sort of specific experience that makes them think differently about their Myaamia identity for having gone through that. So if you're willing to share, what experiences have you had that have shifted your perspective?
For me, the most formative experiences I've had on campus so far through the center have just been, like Gabe was talking about, actually outside of class and learning and creating things. So like sewing my stomp skirt and learning how to stomp dance and making a lacrosse stick last October with Doug. That was super fun. Probably just like the out of class experiences where you actually get to learn from like the like knowledge is responsibility to be passed down, and learning and like obtaining that knowledge has been probably the most formative experience. And then it's also super cool that I get to tell everyone on campus like what I've learned and the things I've learned at the center. So I always feel like that has definitely been the most formative experiences I've had.
I don't think there's one specific experience I can pin down. It's more of an accumulation of everything that's available. Being able to go to Winter Gathering and participate in Ewan Zapata, and then there's additional, we had a trip one time where we went and just drove up the Seven Pillars and visited several cemetery sites. And there's just all these extracurricular things available to you that if you want to do it, you can. They're optional, but they shouldn't be. I feel like you really... I've gained so much knowledge and everything I understand about being Myaamia has really been through interacting with the community on campus and the wider community back on the reservation too. I remember in A1 Zapata, they were telling us like, you know, you got to teach these kids, we're going to do this activity, you make sure they learn this. And I was sitting there like, I didn't know this. Like, I'm learning all this incredible thing, just new information always. By being able to interact with the community, I think that was really important to me. And then being able to bring that back to my family too has meant a lot.
I know I already mentioned the thing about my tree, but that was a big thing for me because it didn't, I don't think it necessarily shifted my perspective, but it kind of established my perspective because the tree is also what kind of the only ancestor I knew, Mashingo Misha, that's what he was named. So kind of getting rid of that abstract thought about just an ancestor and making it, oh, he was named after this tree, and seeing that connection to Myaamionge. I think that was a really big thing for me for just like establishing myself with Myaamia.
My team has dubbed this the catalyst events, right? Like we have certain events that students go to that seem to just allow students to take off in their identity formation. It's just this springboard. And I'll comment on the making things mandatory. The second you do that, it shifts the attitude of students, right? It's like, I get it, and also we want you to be there because you want to be there. Some things are mandatory. We also are kind of blowing through time, so if more of you want to answer, that's cool. No pressure. But, you know, the heritage, we are all people with multiple identities, right? We recognize that all of us in this room, right, have many identities. I'm not just Myaamia, I have a lot more. And therefore, my Myaamia experience informs all of those other experiences I have, and vice versa. So I want to hear from you all, right? Like, how does the knowledge you learn in the Myaamia Heritage course change the way you engage with other life experiences, things like classes, jobs, extracurriculars, and then vice versa, right? How do those other experiences influence what you learn or what you seek out in the Myaamia Heritage course or in the tribal community?
So I think it's important, like I kind of downplayed the class and highlighted the community aspects of everything else. The class itself is the backbone of our learning here. Like that's every week, not everybody, the seniors have to work on their projects, I get that. But mostly everybody gets together in the community on campus for a class to be together for an hour to learn and talk together. And I really think it's just that small introducing the freshmen as they're coming into these people they don't know, to this community they don't know, possibly an identity they don't know, and just really bringing them into the fold. And I think that's something that I've really taken away to other aspects of my life. Is it's okay if the place that I'm going to work doesn't have anything to do with the Myaamia community. Like it's just a job. But within that, I can still be a Myaamia individual at that job. I can still be kiišikohkwa. And I think that's really shifted how I view a lot of the other parts of my life, because I think growing up, going to A1 Zapata, it was a week or 2 weeks if we were doing the one in Fort Wayne also, of just all Myaamia. And then for like months after, my sister and I would be speaking way more Myaamia than we would throughout the year. And then there'd be another little spike after some event, and then we'd speak more and it kind of fade out. So I think being able to be in the classroom setting year round and get to see it through the seasons and get to see it with the Myaamia lunar calendar being brought in, and the ecological perspectives and the language and the history, just really bringing it all together, making that full picture makes it a lot easier when we go out to non-Myaamia spaces and to say, no, I'm a Myaamia individual in this space. So I think that's been a really impactful experience.
Going off of what Gabe said, I definitely think that for me, I had a little bit of a different experience. Like, I didn't know basically anything what it meant to be Myaamia before I came to Miami. So definitely, like, it has shifted my perspective on how to learn something you've never learned before while also, like, creating your identity. So I definitely think that, like, being able to approach learning in a different way and just being so excited about learning has never been something that I've been excited about, to like go to class and learn something that I have no idea. But I always find myself like being excited to go to class, seeing all the people that are in the classes. Mia's back from study abroad from last semester, and she's turned into one of my best friends just by going to class and learning with her. And I definitely feel like it's changed the way that we are friends, but also in the best way because we get to learn together in and out of the classroom. We definitely do arts and crafts way too much, and right now we have been loving beating hats. We've been doing that way too much, but we're having so much fun. So I definitely feel like it's changed my experience of just like being friends with people that are also Myaamia students as well, but in the best way possible. I also think I have a very like unique perspective because I'm also a tour guide on Miami's campus. So every time I introduce myself to all my tours, I'm like, oh, also I'm a Myaamia student. And then sometimes people know, sometimes people don't know, but then on almost every single one of my tours, we go into a rabbit hole like, okay, what does it mean to be a Myaamia student here, and what are you learning, and all that stuff. So I always think it's cool to share with like some of my professors, people who are on my tours. And then also, if they come to Miami, it also prepares them to learn more about the relationship with the tribe and the university. So that's probably definitely how it's changed, like the way I learn and share my learning. But yeah.
To kind of go off what Mia was saying too, it gives you, and Gabe too, it gives you almost like a sense of confidence when you walk around campus. I don't know if anyone else has felt this too, but just being able to look around and see the things in your life that you've been learning in class and understand that these are places that our ancestors have walked, and these are plants that we used to interact with every day, especially for ecological perspectives unit, and then being able to see other Myaamia students on campus and interact with them and speak to them in Myaamia Tawenge on this campus, I think has instilled just a little bit of confidence in myself and my classes and sort of the direction I want my future to go. I know almost everyone in my department, it's engineering, so it's pretty like strict, but they have like their jobs lined up. They're applying for med school or flight school. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like, what are you doing? I can't. I'm so like tired at the end of the day. And you guys want more of this, but it's sort of helped me see that also being able to understand myself better and see that I don't really want to go to med school or do all that stuff. I want to kind of explore myself more and this identity I've developed by being able to go to the Heritage program and learn through that and continue that process. I feel like I'm just dipping my toe in. And yeah, it's been pretty exciting, I'd say.
I will say one more thing. What Caleb said, I definitely feel like, yeah. Okay, hello. Okay. Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry. I will definitely say like the confidence about like walking around campus and also like getting to know the people in your classes definitely has made me feel like better going to like extra events with the center, like, or going to winter gathering. Like, I didn't feel uncomfortable or out of place because I'd never gone before. Like, the first time I went definitely was a like exciting experience, and I never felt like, oh, I don't belong here. I felt very welcomed, and like being able to go with like the people that are in your classes definitely like had a lasting impression.
So I think one of the things that we often find is that we try to educate the entire campus about the Miami tribe and this relationship. But when I run into students who know about it, more times than not, it's because they know one of our students. So our students are our best ambassadors out there across campus because they're in classes with students, they're living in residence halls with them, they're creating these friendships that allow them to teach about what they're learning. So mission A way to you all for that service that you're providing us. So this is our last question, and if you all feel comfortable, I would love for all of you to answer it. And that question is, how do you think your life would be different if you didn't attend Miami University and participate in the Myaamia Heritage Program?
I actually think about this a lot, funnily enough, because the direction of my future was really uncertain, and I thought I was going to be an MMA fighter at one point, and then a guitar player. Like, I just wanted to do everything. And none of it involved going to school. So I think if I hadn't gone to the Heritage Program, I still would have ended up at some college. But I probably would have, I came here really I'm super nervous about getting health insurance, but when I graduated, I don't know why. So I was like, I got to get a good job, right away, right out of the gate, just stability, that's what's important. And I think I would have ended up in some, engineering job I didn't like, just for the stability, and really not being able to explore this part of myself that it just feels so necessary now.
I think, first of all, I would be a lot more in debt than I could be. Still probably would have went to school, but would have felt a lot worse out after I left. And I think being able to just be here, with my older sister being here always, that's nice sometimes. And then just also the people I've met, my friends and inside or outside of Tribe, I think that has been very special for me. And I don't know, I'm just glad that I did come to Miami, especially with the program. So.
I will say you heard 4 out of the 5 say that their family has came here before. I'm the lone dog that did not have any family that has come to Miami except one of my aunts, but she's not Myaamia. But I definitely think for me, my life would be completely different because now I have a deeper connection to being Myaamia and also sharing that with my family who is Myaamia but never got the chance to have that opportunity. So I definitely am way closer with my aunts and my uncles and my grandpa for sure. My grandpa calls me every week and it's send me pictures what you're doing in class. And so I send him a selfie of me and Mia with our beaded hats on, or he loved seeing pictures from Winter Gathering. I probably sent him 100 and he was like, did you take any more? I was like, Grimpy, I was there for 3 days, not a whole week. I'm also being a counselor this summer, which they live in Fort Wayne, so I'm sure I'll see him when I'm up there, and I guarantee you he's going to be scrolling through my phone like it is nobody's business. But definitely that relationship with my family and the tribe, also just being able to really lean into this identity and something that I associate with and I really love associating with, definitely would not be the same. Also, I wanted to go to school out of state, but same thing like Michael, I probably would not have been able to afford it if I was not in the Heritage Award.
So I have the unique experience that I actually took a couple years away from the Heritage Program and away from Miami. So I got to live and work after having been in the Heritage Program for a year. And so, to be honest, my life didn't change too much. I still went on the Winter Gathering trip that winter, and I was still making visits to come and see my friends. A lot of my best friends have been from the Myaamia community and from the Heritage Program. And to be fair, I'd also likely still be at this conference here today, just not at the table, right? But it's hard to imagine not having this in my life. This program, this community has always been there, and that community would have still been there if I had never attended the program. I just might not know as many people as I do now. So I think it's important to recognize that this program and this community serves a lot of our people in so many ways, so many ways that we don't even know. And even if not all of our young people are going to attend Miami, they're still going to benefit from it. And I think that's important to recognize the community that we have here.
My life would definitely be very different if I didn't come here and be a part of this heritage program, not only because I get to experience it with my sister. Fun fact, I'm a triplet, so she's in the same grade as I am. So we get to have that kind of connection and that deeper level in our relationship. And then also I wouldn't get to meet all of these great people or even meet you guys here today. And like, you have to think about, this kind of program does not happen anywhere else. It is such a rare thing to immerse yourself in so many aspects of your culture like we get to experience here. So just having that kind of unique opportunity was just very, I was very fortunate to be able to have that. And also we get to go home and teach our families what we learn here. We're not just the students. We get to go home and I teach my mom, who's not a part of the tribe. It's from my dad's side, but she loves it. She's like, "What did you do today in class?" And then my older sister who attended was like, "Oh, what did you do today?" And then we tell her, and then she's like, "Oh, I love doing that. Like, I remember when we got to do that, and they changed it a little bit. They tweaked it." And so just having those kind of flashbacks from her perspective, and then we get to add on to that kind of knowledge within just my own immediate family is it's a very good opportunity.
To kind of go off what Madison said too, I was being able to come back and teach your family everything, and seeing them get excited and involved is one of the, I think, greatest things. We've actually, my family's been able to get enrolled in the tribe now, and that's been a huge deal, at least for my mom, who has known about this history for a long time and was never really able to, had the means to explore or learn about it. Yeah.
So I think that you all are now more aware of this experience of our students. And you heard from several of them that, and I really appreciate the honesty, that the financial aid waiver is a big part of this program, and we don't want to gloss over the fact that Miami University is very generous in offering a tuition waiver to our students. And that kind of lures them here in a lot of ways, and we're so lucky for that to happen. But we have two main goals of our program, and that is to connect our Myaamia students with each other and with the Myaamia community, and to connect them back to our Myaamia knowledge system. And I think that these students gave you the perfect perspective of how that is being lived out in their experience. So I just want to say Mishanewe, and I hope that you all will join me in thanking them for being here.